Good morning, friends. I want to extend a warm welcome to you today. Everyone is welcome here. You are welcome here regardless of your age, your race, your income, your religion, or the gender with which you identify. You are welcome here regardless of who you love, who you vote for, the pronouns you prefer, the regrets that burden you, or the mistakes you have made. And it does not matter what your physical, mental, or cognitive abilities are, you are welcome here. In this safe community, we support each other in the sacred task of becoming, celebrate the transcending mystery of life, and rely on the transforming power of love. Here we revere the words of the great teachers such as Jesus, the Buddha, and Confucius.
Number one, again, good morning, everyone. This is especially a treat for me because this is not my first time speaking before this fellowship. And I think it is a hallmark of community service and a hallmark of something that is a little bit bigger than us. When you come before a group a second time, there's something somewhere telling you that there's something that we all need to do together. And my message today, and I apologize if I take a little bit more time than I usually do, there's a lot to talk about in the world right now. And first, I want to start off, for anyone who doesn't know me, to introduce myself a little more fully. My name is Chockwe Pitchford. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. My family, my mother and father, very deeply in love, ran away from Benton Harbor, Michigan to New Orleans, Louisiana, had me, then moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and then moved back to Benton Harbor. Every time it snows, I ask them, what were you thinking? We had it great. I got my start in politics and government in 2018, working on Joey Andrews' first campaign for state representative. I was a door knocker in the city of Benton Harbor. And I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a black woman whose door I knocked on, and we talked for 15 minutes about a pothole that was in her street. And to this day, I see that as the catalyst and the moment that a switch in my brain went off, that I realized that there was something we could actually do about that pothole. It wasn't just something to abstractly talk about for the next 15 or 20 years. When that pothole got filled in, I went back to that house, and she was amazed at just how fast government actually could work for her. But then she realized that she needed to also get involved, because it is not those in power or those who are elected officials that have the power in this country. It's the people. The people have the power in this country. So after I worked on Joey's campaign, I went down to Atlanta, Georgia as a part of Organizing Corps. It was a Democratic Party initiative at the time that took college students and took the last 3 campaigns, all of their presidential campaigns, all of their organizers came together to teach us how to knock doors, how to make phone calls, how to organize people in community. I was placed in Detroit at the end of that cycle, right when the 2020 campaign for president was heating up on the Democratic side. After that, I came back to Benton Harbor and I ran for state representative at 21 years old in 2020. We did not win that campaign, but I do not see that as a loss, because from Joey's first run to my running in 2020, we have completely changed the landscape of Berrien County in Southwest Michigan. Benton Harbor is a community now where candidates all across the state want to come and fight for votes. This area is now being seen as a place with one of the most competitive congressional seats in the country. And all of that can come from the audacity of a few people to say it doesn't have to be this way. So after that election, I ran for county commissioner in 2022, and I also launched Berrien Forward and Berrien Connection. Berrien Forward is a 501c4 nonprofit that wants to get people elected into office. It wants to educate the community on their civic power, but it also wants to remind everyone that no one can take your democracy away from you, but you can give it away by not being involved, by not being engaged. Berrien Connection, our 501c3, is building housing. It's trying to bring back the skilled trades into our community. It's talking about arts and culture as a way to bring people together. But what I'm talking to you all about at a very high level here is it is our job now, in the face of what we're seeing in this country, to rebuild the social fabric of America. It's not something that you can just assume. is going to stay intact anymore. It takes each and every one of us getting down to the grassroots level and rebuilding thread by thread the things that used to hold our country together, because they are falling apart. And I think a lot now about why this country feels this way, right? I can raise my hand easily and say, I don't remember a political time in this country before Donald Trump. I don't. My first experience in politics was Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in 2016. That is when my brain realized, outside of, oh, Barack Obama was president, wonderful, he looks like me, that's great. I was too young to understand the implications of his presidency. The first presidency whose implications I felt was Donald Trump. And I have thought a lot about that since that day, since that time period. Why are we in the mess that we're in? I have a theory. We spent the time after the 2016 election telling people, like I'm doing today, to get involved, to learn about your local representatives, your state representatives, learn about Congress. But guess what we did? We ripped civics education out of high schools. We completely diluted a person's ability to understand how the federal, state, and local government actually works. You have individuals that will post on Facebook, post in comments and say, I want this pothole fixed in my street, and they're commenting under their congressman's post. That's your local government's job. But who taught someone that? Who is out there reminding people and educating them about their civic responsibility? But when the system of government that did not have all of these voices and all of these people involved, when a culture shock for them happens, when millions of people now register to vote, when millions of people are engaged in the electoral process, what happens? It becomes unstable. It wasn't ready for that shock. And my hopeful thought in this, my optimistic thought in this, is that we are just dealing with the growing pains of actually finally becoming a democracy in the United States of America. This is what a democracy feels like. When there are people with extremely opposed views fighting for every vote and fighting for every person. I don't agree with what the other side puts forward, but in a democracy, they have the right to do that. As abhorrent as you may think it is, they have the right to do it in a democracy. But here's where the break happened. They are now no longer accepting the backlash that's coming. When ordinary people in this country are seeing the way in which the fabric of what they loved is being torn apart, people being ripped out of their homes, ICE agents running into apartment complexes and ripping families apart, hiding the Epstein files. Be honest with yourselves, my friends. Right now, it doesn't look like they're going to accept this. They're going to accept the backlash that's coming. And that's why I'm here to talk to you today. And I'm a little bit more serious than I've been before, because I'm actually scared. I am being on the side that I'm on, understanding, seeing the inner workings of these things. It is quite terrifying the lengths that these people will go to harm communities and try to retain power. So then, I ask all of you, where do you want to be the day after the election this year? Do you want to wake up and see that ICE agents were at every polling location in America, scaring people of color, scaring the BIPOC community out of voting? Do you want to wake up and say, I should have done more. I should have been there. I should have volunteered. I should have organized. I should have wrote postcards. I should have made phone calls. I should have canvassed. Do you want to wake up the day after the election and see that we're sending more money, more of our troops overseas to fight a war in Iran that no one wants? Do you want to see more carnage in the Middle East? No, I don't think you do. I don't think even the Republicans that voted for him wanted this. But the question is, in that democracy I talked about earlier, right? That contest of ideas, one side needs to win out. And you have to build a coalition of people large enough to get around the tricks and the lies and the deceit. Because it's going to come. But you have to have a coalition large enough to push past it. You have to bring 10, 20 people that you know to the polls. You have to convince your friends, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles who you know are engaged with the political process. You have to explain to them the stakes of this moment. Because your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren are looking you in the eye right now in the future, and they're asking, or they're saying either, thank you so much for preserving the future that we have today, or how dare you not have stood up, and I have to now deal with the ramifications of this generation, this country right now not standing up and fighting. There are issues, and I had a sit down with a group of about 8 or 9 people the other day, and there are issues in this country and in this community that you don't have to just focus on the federal government. The local government needs your help as well. One of the things Berrien Forward has done since its inception, when we are knocking doors, we start from the bottom of the ballot and we work our way up. I'm not coming to your door to ask you about Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Gavin Newsom. That's not the way I start a conversation. It is an easy way to get a door slammed in your face or to get a checkbox on your list of somebody that was already going to support you. It's an easy way to polarize someone. The way that we have done it is when I come to your door, the first thing I talk to you about, like the first conversation I ever had knocking doors, is about the pothole in your street. Whether or not your local and county government is actually showing up for you. Are we building housing? Do we have robust transportation in this county? No. And that is how you get someone to depolarize. You show them a community like this one. We've been run by conservatives for 40, 50, 60 years. Is anyone better for it? I'm not meaning to even make this partisan. Quite literally, is anyone better for it? What can you say our county government has done? I'll wait. And that's me serving as a commissioner who's been in there fighting. But what you have to realize is we need your voices. Our county commission meetings are at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday morning every week. How many people can actually show up to that? It's that way by design. So when we have an issue right now, and I'm going to give you something that you all can organize around, and there's 2 things that I want you all to engage with me on. One of them is transportation in Berrien County. I need to level with you all. The transportation system in Berrien County, as small as it may be and as inefficient as it may be, will be going away on October 1st of this year. Dial-A-Ride, Berrien Bus, it's gone. The Department of Transportation in Michigan sent Takata and Dial-A-Ride a letter around the end of last year that said you have until October 1st and we are ceasing funding this as an initiative. I will give you the history. The city of Benton Harbor, St. Joe Township, Lincoln Township, and Benton Charter Township all would pay in to the Dial-A-Ride system about 20 or 30 years ago. That system would service that entire what's called an urbanized zone. The rural parts of the county are not in that urbanized zone, and that's where Berrien Bus has been assisting and helping. In that urbanized zone, over the last 20 or 30 years, different communities, St. Joe Township, Lincoln Township, Benton Charter Township, have pulled the funding out of the Dial-A-Ride system, leaving Benton Harbor with their singular millage as the only place that is funding that service that still has to serve that urbanized zone. So MDOT, seeing over time, obviously anyone who understands a balance sheet and understands finances, going from 5 funders to 1 is not a good sign for the longevity of a program. So right now, Takata and Dial-A-Ride is not doing great. They've gone through directors, they have new transportation services trying to kind of run it to get it back up to speed. But MDOT said October 1st, the funding is cutting off. And they turned to Berrien County and they said, we are going to fund for X number of years a countywide transportation service that brings together Dial-A-Ride, Niles Dart, and Berrien Bus, so that every person in this room, by phone call or by route, will have a way to get from Benton Harbor to Niles and Niles to New Buffalo and New Buffalo up to Coloma to actually address the transportation issue in this county. We have until October 1st. There's been no movement on this. That firm deadline on October 1st means all of that funding goes away, and we don't have a countywide system. You have no system. You're talking about people who use these services to go to dialysis, to go to their hospital appointments. You're talking about kids who use these services to get to and from Lake Michigan College. Gone. You talk about something that you can organize around right now. This is an existential threat to this county. Do you understand and I'm sure many of you have worked in business, so I'll throw this out for you. When you do a market analysis of an area and you look to see whether or not you want to place your business there, one of the top criteria is transportation. How are people actually going to get to and from my job? If there is zero public transportation, and I sit on the SMCEA board of directors, the highest amount of insecurity in this county around transportation are those with cars. As we're doing the studies, the interest rate on their car note is too high. Their insurance is too high. Gas is going through the roof. It's becoming economically unsustainable to have a vehicle. So that's number one. It's something that I want every person in this room to think about. You're a county commissioner. You probably come from all over the county. We need help getting the Republican commissioners on this board to see the magnanimity of the moment and what they are about to miss. And then number two, on April 25th from 9 to 11 a.m. at our offices for Berrien Forward and Berrien Connection, we are holding what are called Do You Want to Get Involved trainings. Postcard writing, phone banking, social media organizing, tabling at events. We need people. And what I've been able to do, and I have Nick Gunn here, he's our communications director, we have been able to galvanize funding. We've been able to galvanize resources and social media posts, door knocking, all of these things. But what we're missing is a volunteer base. One thing, like I said earlier, that I'm terrified of are the amount of people who say, yeah, someone should do that. Someone should be involved. Someone should be engaged. I just don't have time for it. I want you to know I understand that each person's life is different and what you have going on is different, but I hear that from everyone. There's not many people out there fighting right now. We're going to the protests. We're angry. We're on social media. We're holding the signs. But the doors aren't getting knocked. The voters aren't being talked to right now. We need people badly. Because there's only so much one organization or one person can do. In a democracy where you all have the power, I need you all to step up. I need you all to get involved and engaged. Because the country that a lot of you had growing up, the prosperity, the economic booms, I don't have access to that. My son doesn't have access to that. My friends, my family, we don't have access to that. We are staring down what could be the most destructive economic period of my lifetime. And it almost makes me emotional because I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're a young black man from Benton Harbor and you're told your whole life, you got three options. You can go into the streets, you can play basketball or football and hope to get big, or you can work a dead-end job. Maybe you can go to a factory. Factories are great work. But if you look at me, I'm not necessarily the factory built type. You hear all of that, and you decide that you're going to get involved and engaged in politics. No one in my family, outside of voting for Barack Obama, had ever voted. I did not grow up in a political household. I didn't grow up watching MSNBC and CNN. I did grow up watching the History Channel. I'm a nerd. But this wasn't commonplace. I got eyebrows thrown up at me by my entire family when I said I was going to be a Democrat. They didn't know the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Imagine making that decision, running for office, starting businesses, all to make your community a better place. And the moment that you feel the apex of what you have done, you have finally started to move the needle. Now the world looks like this. I need help. I do. Because I don't know if there's a country next year if we lose. And I'm not saying that hyperbolically. Any person, and I apologize, sir, for going so long, any person who is willing, with the midterm elections in November of this year, start a war in the Middle East and ask Congress for $200 billion to support that war, the Strait of Hormuz closes, gas goes up to $4 a gallon, all of your investments are at risk. While before that even happens, the polling showed you were going to lose the midterms. To make that decision as President of the United States means you don't care about what happens in November. You don't care about the political repercussions of what you're doing, which is why we have to have the largest showing in American history. Because they don't seem to care that voters are coming for them. They don't. Nothing about what they're doing shows me that. They're not making little calculations, trying to pass a quick stimulus bill to maybe send money to people with Donald Trump's name written on them. They're not doing that. They did that last time. That gave you the inclination that they were afraid of the elections. Now, and take this as my joke of the day, you have the Secretary of Defense, I'm not calling him Secretary of War. You have the Secretary of Defense threatening the Pope. Everyone shall be judged. I feel like you kind of go down the list and you're like, you said what to the Pope? But when you're threatening the Pope, you get to a point where you're wondering, what are you guys about to do? And then with that, the optimist in me goes back and says, what are we about to do? What organizing are we going to do? You are living, and I said this at No Kings, I have great reverence for Dr. Martin Luther King. I have great reverence for Malcolm X, Shirley Chisholm. I have great reverence for the leaders in the Black community that got this society to the point where I can stand here as a county commissioner and talk to you all. And I believe we are living through a modern day civil rights movement. But that civil rights movement now includes the LGBTQ community. It includes the Black community. It includes the white community. It includes the immigrant community. It includes the Muslim community. It includes the Jewish community. It is a movement for peace. It is a movement for the rights of every human being to matter. It is the apex of what Dr. Martin Luther King talked about. A society where your skin color does not matter. Your background does not matter. You are judged on the merits of your soul and of your character. And that is where we have to go after 2028. This now has to become a movement after we win. And I am professing to you that we're going to win. After we win, it is on every person in this room. It's on me. It's on every person that you know to hold your elected officials accountable to two things. What did you promise me you were going to do to make my community better and their community better? If you say you want jobs, middle-class jobs, awesome. How are you going to help BIPOC people get middle-class jobs as well? Get into the middle class. How are you going to help all of these communities? It's not just about delivering for you, it's delivering for everyone. How are we raising the tide for everyone? And then number two, you hold your elected officials accountable to make sure this never happens again. There needs to be guardrails put in place. I understand the founders didn't believe of a Congress that would capitulate so much to a president that they wouldn't use Article 25. They wouldn't use any of these powers that they have to move this back and to put the country in the right place. I don't want to wait for anyone's goodwill anymore. I want laws put in place to stop this from ever happening again. The president should not have the ability to pardon anyone, period, full stop. Get rid of the presidential pardon. You have the president of the United States saying right now that he is pardoning every single one of his cabinet members on the way out. No person deserves that much power. And I'll leave you with this, because I can speak all day about this. When the founders of this country came together, they were extremely opposed on many parts of the Constitution that we now have today. The Continental Congress and the leaflets and the papers, the Federalist Papers, there was a lot. The size and role of government, they had just come from England where they wanted to get away from the monarchy, and they come here and they say, we don't want a president. Some of them, they did not want a centralized government. They wanted it to be left to the states. Some of them, of course, the ones that won out said, we need a strong federal government for oversight and regulation and agenda setting. But you know what happened after we formed the Constitution of the United States of America? Those differing sides, those people who didn't agree with each other, who fought vehemently, they came together on one team, one sound, one band. They were on Team America. So now I'm reaching out to not just groups like this one. I'm reaching out to disaffected Republicans. I'm reaching out to independents. I'm speaking everywhere right now. Are you on Team America or are you not? That is the litmus test for me now. I don't care that you voted for Donald Trump twice. I'll forgive you for voting for Donald Trump twice. What are you going to do now? Because I'll be honest with you, to give you all some hope, there are some two-time Trump voters who are rolling up their sleeves right now and trying to get Democratic candidates elected. There are some who completely were duped by a snake oil salesman. And I believe them, especially when you understand how crazy and chaotic the political world really is. Some people get swept up into a movement really quickly. Back when I was in high school, we all had Heelys. They were shoes with heels on the bottom, you'd slide down the street. Looking back, that was extremely dangerous and it was extremely stupid and we should not have been doing that. But you get swept up into a movement sometimes. Now the question for all of you, as we move into this next section of society, is also please open your hearts to some of those people. Forgive them, even if they knew what they did. Even if their goal was to hurt other people. Forgive them, but never forget. Forgive them, but never forget. Know that some people in this country have the propensity to harm us all. But you have to be engaged enough, you have to be vigilant enough, and you have to be loving enough to say, I get that you're going to vote for Donald Trump. I get you're going to vote for this demagogue. I'm going to outwork you. We're going to beat you in the election. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about why you thought that was a good idea. We're going to have a heart-to-heart. I want to know what ails you. And I know, I've talked to a lot of them. I know what ails them. They feel this country has left a lot of them behind. They've seen their communities hollowed out. They've seen their jobs be shipped overseas. They feel like that person on food stamps or welfare, SNAP or WIC, is filling up their grocery cart at the store with steak, with chicken, with pork loin, while they're living on ramen noodles and trying to make ends meet. I get it. But your anger is at the wrong person. Black, white, Indian, Hispanic, Asian, Republican, Democrat, rich, poor, middle class, those are the wrong titles. It's the people versus the corrupt. It's the people versus those who are robbing us blind right now. And when we realize that, the power of the people is always greater than the people in power, then we will start to turn the ship. Then we will start to have a more perfect union. And then, ladies and gentlemen and my friends, then we will be the United States of America that we claimed to be when this country was founded. Thank you.